With over 154 state parks in Washington, 17 of those are national wildlife refuges. For example, the San Juan Island National Wildlife Refuge and Wilderness Area and the Dungeness National Wildlife Refuge. In response to the government shutdown, one question arose from wildlife conservationists everywhere. How do you expect people to care about our forests if they're never in them? There are many issues facing national parks. With Congress's last fall shutdown, it resulted in funding being pulled, leading to the parks being unprotected and more susceptible to pollution and other illegal activities. National parks are facing many chronic issues like the availability of money and our ability to sustain our environment. These parks are funded by federal dollars, in addition to the small fee that is paid to go an unlimited number of times into parks. Yet there is a growing need for national parks to establish private funding and partnerships in order to keep these precious sites in the best condition possible. One may think of Grand Canyon or Yosemite, but close to 2/3 of these parks were established to preserve their historical significance and natural resources. We have an incredible collection of museum artifacts, and 45% of the Park Service collections have not been cataloged. We're missing opportunities to tell the story of America through our national parks, says James Nations of the National Parks Conservation Association.
Visit her every single day. That is 5 million people each year. And she is just one of many of the different national parks in the system. There are 394 national parks across the country. In April, some 800,000 visitors will spend $32 million a day at these parks. Now that's money that would be lost from local economies across the country. Even more bad news, nearly 20,000 park employees would be sent home. Now, out west, one major attraction that would be affected is Yellowstone National Park. It's a popular destination for campers who might have to pitch their tents elsewhere if the government shuts down.
There's been an increasing amount of land development around these protected areas for agricultural purposes along with living space. Unfortunately, the wild animals that inhabit this close to undisturbed land aren't aware of the human-set boundaries, wandering into living spaces and being relocated or even killed. This coincides with non-native species. More than 6,500 different non-native species have been found in national parks, with 70% being plants that consume over 7 million acres of the national park lands. Without protection, these invasive species can tip the delicate balance that is the ecosystem and lead to the endangerment of those native species.
Records the concentrations of mainly greenhouse gases and the growth, annual growth of carbon dioxide in 1 year has been also record-breaking. We have never seen so big growth in 1 year as we have been seeing last year in carbon dioxide concentration. And this is definitely to raise the ambition level of climate mitigation.
National parks aren't out of the woods yet. Like many other national parks, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park was named not for its smog, but because it was one of the parks most affected by this problem. Emissions from surrounding factories and growing cities encroach on these protected spaces, essentially dampening the air quality and simply maintaining the acceptable state of the ozone layer. Go see these parks for yourself. It takes both seeing and doing to solve the problem. I propose that just like how we're concerned with the latest fashion, we need to turn our attention to national parks, which are the homes to many historical sites. Like global warming, if we don't heed the warning signs, we may lose the unique species and sites that reside in these parks forever. I add that we should involve more of the community and the younger generation, because they will be left with our mess, so steps should be taken to fix it. Drastic measures can be taken, but I urge you to keep up the simple things like picking up trash, leaving a place better than you found it, and venturing out past the cities to see the beauty of nature.